Well, this is episode 2 of Saving Farah, and what we've got to do is check and see if Farah's even got compression, see if she's worth saving. And the only way to do that is to get that engine brake off of the flywheel so I could turn it and tell. So this is the first thing I've done to this mower, and other than just look at it and check things. So the first thing I'm going to do is take off this cover, and this is held on by 2 very long screws with 1/4-inch heads. And if you have one like this, I recommend you get a rotary drill to get those out. Often they are difficult to get out because they're rusted in there. But the threads are long, so you wear your arm out using just a socket and a screwdriver type socket wrench. So you really need to get you a drill and put that on there. And you'll see what I mean if I can get these coming out. Okay, good. That doesn't appear to be locked up. Now, if the threads are good, it just should come on out. But you'll see it's really a long one. And just keep backing it out until it doesn't come up anymore. It goes way down. Okay, there you go. So thankfully that one came out, and we'll clean that up with the wire brush before we put it back in. Now this one I think may not be quite as long, but they're really both long. So let's see if this will come out. Yep, see, it's already starting to slip, so it's loose. So it's not threaded in quite as much. Let's see, this is in the plastic now. That'll take you forever to get that out, turn it by hand. All right, so now this should come off. I'm always looking for wildlife that might try and bite us. So, oh, and by the way, there's a little clip up here. So it's not coming off. That's because there's a little clip up here, but it'll just pop out. So let me clear that handle and now get that out. And there's that little clip. It clips going this way. I don't see any creatures under there, so that's always good. And so the next thing, you've probably seen this before. I have a tool that I made for this. I actually carry one in my truck with me too, so I can test compression on mowers when I go to pick it up. I wanted to show you, I've got 2 of them made. Hoping I could find the other one, but I don't see it. Just get you an old handle or a piece of wood, and this is an old pull cord handle. I've got a little cord string, pull cord string there, secured with a nut there, and then some real strong wire. You don't want anything that's going to break on you because you're putting a lot of pressure on this. And I'm going to show you again. I've shown before, but it's important. Okay, so you've got to get that spring off of there. And I don't recommend you try doing it with needle nose pliers or anything like that, because it's going to slip. You don't have good control. You can hurt your knuckles, skin your knuckles. It can be painful. So make you a little tool, and the open side of the hook, see, is not on this side. The open side of the hook, let me try and get under there. Let me set that drill out of the way. The open side of this hook is on this side, right there. And so you got to put this loop around that hook side like that. See, it's on there now. And then you pull towards you and down. And that spring just comes off right off. It's real easy. So just lay that there. And now, if you're buying a used push mower that they're not asking very much for because it's been sitting around forever and they can't get it to run, that may be one reason it won't run, is you've got to have the kill switch off. And this is the kill switch. It's got to be, I'll try to move it with my thumb. Yep, if it's rusted enough, it won't even, there we go. See, now it'll run. When you let go of the bail up top, that big spring then pulls it that way. But there's enough spring in that rusted cable to push it down because I've got the spring disengaged, but I just wanted you to see how it operates. So you squeeze the bail handle down to start it, it goes that way. And the engine brake, which is right in there, see that? It's off. It's not touching the flywheel, so the flywheel will spin now. And that's why you couldn't check it for compression before, because you had that big old spring forcing that brake on there. So you got to get the spring off. So now we can check it for compression, but it still wants to go that way just for that spring tension. So we've got to take that cable off. It's going to have to come off anyway because it's rusted. We're going to have to either replace it or make a sort of a hack kill switch for it to be able to turn the mower off. Okay, so we'll come back to that, but I wanted you to see that. That's important because what you can do when you're going to buy a mower is have that little homemade tool with you, get under there and take that spring off, and then you can at least pull the cord and see if it has compression or not to know if it's worth buying. But that way you know the engine is good. It's still, you know, all your troubles aren't over. It's just because it may be worn out. It may smoke too much, but because it's too worn out, but it could still have compression. But that's a good starting point. So let's start up here. This has got to come off. And we're going to see what the carburetor linkage looks like, and see what they've done to it. Since somebody worked on it, this thing looks like it's bent. Wow. Okay. That is on there, people. Golly. I'm going to press down and turn. That thing is in there, people. All right, let me go another one. I think it's starting to come loose now. What happens is people jam these into the tank in that screw opening that's full of dirt and gunk, and then they just keep bearing down on it instead of cleaning it out. No, it didn't work. That one slipped. Try again here. Okay, I think it's coming out now. Yeah. I don't want to tear up this screw too bad because I can use it again once everything's cleaned up here. So that's coming out. That's the second one lately I've seen like that. Hit that with the wire brush before we reinstall it. Let's see what kind of cool thing they have here. All right, so they tried to run this. I guess they didn't want to get an air filter. Thought, well, we'll keep the air clean by sticking an old plastic bag in there. And of course, no air is going to get through that. And your mower's not going to run. That's interesting. I've never seen that before. A plastic bag is an air filter. So we'll clean that up before it goes on. Okay, let's see what other surprises Farah has for us. Okay, this is, I'm glad I got this one because my last few have been on the old Pulsa jets There's an ant, so I may have an ant infestation in this mower somewhere. The other pulse jets I worked on lately have the old style air vane, which I really like, but this is a later version where you have a governor that comes from back here, and this cover right there hides the linkage, but it goes under this way and up to the carburetor. And this is important. This is obviously going to have to come off to clean that out. Yep, as usual, rusty water in there. So this tank and carburetor are going to have to come off, and I really want to show you how to do this, because there's a right way and a wrong way. And what people sometimes say is you loosen this 3/8 and then you loosen the 1/2, and then you start trying to get it off like that, and you tilt it this way and that way, and finally it'll break free. Don't do that. What you need to do is get the self-governor linkage free by removing this piece right here. And then this linkage arm, let me show you that. You want to expose this linkage arm under here. So when you pull this out, the whole thing comes out. Then it's real easy to tilt your tank and get this off. If you leave it attached here, all you can really move it is about like an inch or two. And then you see people start trying to tilt it and get it off, and it's very easy to break that little plastic because you're kind of forcing it, and you don't want to, as you say, don't force anything. But you can break that off, and that could have been a very good carburetor. Now you've got to either replace that piece or replace the carburetor. So I want you to watch how I do this. I'm going to take this 3/8 nut out and remove this whole piece, see, that exposes that linkage. And this whole linkage will then swing away. It's going to swing away. May have to dip it down a little bit. I may have to take off the rewinder to get to it, but I really recommend you do that. Okay? So let's see if we can get that going. We're going to get that tank off without breaking the carburetor. Okay, so I'm taking this off just so I can get the tank off without breaking anything, okay? So that's off. And here we go, voila. Oh, I gotta get the half off too, hang on a second. Gotta get the big screw that holds the tank on, gotta get it off. Get that thing on the wheel reach. There we go. Now here we go. Okay. Now I got to get the other 3/8 off, which is right there. Where did you go? Where's the 3/8? Okay, now this tank will now come off, but I've got to get this little spring off right there, and it's very fine, so I don't want to lose that. They're not just a dime a dozen laying around everywhere. So I've got this end, and then it's very delicate. It slips. There's a little tiny hole on there. You've got to kind of dip down to get it out. So that's what that spring looks like. And the little tiny end there goes into the white throttle piece the big end goes there. So let me set that over there. Definitely don't want to lose that. Okay, now this comes out. See? And now you can get the tank out easily because this linkage now is not being blocked by that piece I just removed. So wiggle, 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 get the grommet loose and see, voila, that comes way out. Now it's real easy to turn this way. There's nothing binding up there. Got to get this gasket and clip off. There we go. Right there. That's got to come off. Okay. So that's going to lay up in there when it's time to reattach that. Let me get that little 3/8 screw out of there. It'll take a minute to clean this, get this junk out. All of this causes your mower to run hotter than it should. It's always helpful to have a few little wired things, little probes that you can scrape around with here. Get this out. It'll probably be easier to get that. If I do the blue winder, I need to check that anyway, make this sure this cord is long enough. I'll tell you what, now we can check for compression, so let's do that. This thing's not going to start, but just following the rules here, I'm going to unplug this because it's the tank's full of water. All right, I'm just feeling for compression now. Yeah, right there. Okay, see that? I don't know if you can see that. It's tight. That's compression, and then it's in the exhaust phase. See, so this is good. This mower is gonna run. It's probably gonna make a good mower for somebody because now I can check to see if it has compression because I took that spring off, which got the brake off the flywheel, so I could pull it and test it. So I'm optimistic about that. So we've done enough for this video. Stay tuned for episode 3. Should be fun.